Hello and welcome back to First Draw Cigar Talk. As you can see, I'm outside today in my backyard on the golf course, so don't mind all the golfers going by. It's a beautiful day here in Utah, April. It's like 75 and it's just awesome outside. So today I want to showcase one of my favorite cigars and I'll tell you about it here in a minute. And then I'm also going to tell you about the life of a firefighter. I thought that might be interesting to some since I'm getting ready to retire after 25 years. And some people might have questions about the life of a career firefighter. So today I want to show you the Atabey cigar. And as you can tell, it's a Connecticut. It's a light shade wrapper. And it is, if it's not my favorite, it is in the top two. It is incredible. And I don't know many people that know about this one, and it's a shame because it is excellent. And I'll go through and tell you all the stats on it here in a minute. But I would dare say if I had to pick one cigar to smoke for a month, I'd pick this one. It is just that good. And so anyway, let's cut it, torch it, take that first draw. I'll tell you what I'm getting, and then I want to tell you what the manufacturer says about it because I love it that much, and I want to make sure you get all the information on it because I think everyone should try this one. So give me a second, I'll cut it. It is so delicious. The wrapper is like silk, um, and it's unbelievable. So smooth and creamy. It's like butter. And I know I use creamy and smooth a lot, but that's because that's how I that's how I decipher my cigars. Right? They're either smooth and creamy, harsh and bitter, um, or they burn. But man, this one is just incredible. So it's this manufacturer, as far as I know, they only make this one blend, and they're out of Costa Rica. So let me just tell you what the manufacturer says about it. It's a I got to look off camera for a minute. Ultra premium, New World cigar produced by the SA Company, Selected Tobacco Company, out of Costa Rica, overseen by Nelson Alfonso. And so they make this in different sizes, but I think this is the only blend of cigar they make. So it's hand rolled in Costa Rica and usually aged in cedar and French oak rooms. Medium bodied, known for creamy, sweet cedar, leather, and dark fruit notes. Produced in limited quantities and limited to 400 boxes a year. So it is pretty limited. High end, typically ranging between $23 and $38 a cigar. I think I paid in the 30s for this one. And I have had it once before, so I was so excited to tell you guys about it because I just loved it. And I've got one more sitting in my humidor. I save these because they're just kind of expensive to buy all the time, but they're just so good. And short of having it on a special occasion, I thought I'd share it with you guys today and hopefully spread the good word. But excellent craftsmanship, beautiful. The band is simple, but also cool and elegant at the same time. So a little more about this cigar. um, Aged for a minimum of 5 years after it's been rolled. Atabey is named after the mother goddess of the Taino Indians, who was worshipped for her role in tobacco cultivation. So hence the name Atabey. Um, so here's the funny thing: is so their sizes, like this is a robusto in most brands. In their brand, it's called the Delirios, not delirious. I know it sounds funny. Delirios. And so they have all the common sizes, but they don't call them the common names. So if you go on their website or you go on your favorite online cigar store looking for them, just know they're going to be named something different. You just have to look at the dimensions for what you want. But I think the robusto is perfect. And again, this one's called the Delirios size. No burn on the retrohale. Um, just very smooth on the intake. I can't say enough good about this cigar. It's it's got to be one of my favorites. So enough gushing over this cigar. Let me tell you a little bit about the life of a firefighter, and then I'll come back to this in a second. So, as I told you in a previous video, I'm going to retire in a few months after 25 years in the fire service. And if you don't know anything about the fire service, it's basically broken down into two groups. You either have volunteer or career firefighters. And so I've been a career firefighter, structural firefighter. So there's wildland and structural. I've been a structural firefighter for 25 years in Utah, in a town called Ogden, just north of Salt Lake City. Um, and most career departments, or at least the ones I know of, you typically have to be an EMT as well as a firefighter. So you have to be certified and trained in both areas. And I'll tell you why in just a second. So it's a no-brainer to be a firefighter that you have to be trained and certified as a firefighter. And you get that training from the state. Each state has their own um, criteria for becoming a certified firefighter. And then most places like you to be an EMT too. And I think the story goes that fire departments started training some of their people as EMTs so that they can help manage injuries and such on fire scenes, right? We have trained personnel there in case something happens to one of our guys, then we can jump in and help. Well, that evolved into providing EMS service for the city that you're serving, because most fire departments don't bring in money, right? We cost money. We cost trucks, stations, you know, wages, equipment, um, all those things. But if you provide an ambulance service, you can your EMTs can transport that patient to the hospital, and there's a bill associated with that. So that's where the EMS side comes in, and that recoups a little bit of the cost for running a fire department. So um, as a new firefighter, especially in my department, you have to be an EMT, and you'll start on the ambulance. That's kind of the starting point for everyone. And now you'll rotate onto the engine or the fire truck as well, but your main job is EMS on the ambulance. And so, like everyone else, I started on the ambulance too, and I did that for about 6 years. So on the ambulance, you drive one day and then you tech the other day. That means doing patient care, and so you flip flop for the week. And then if you're lucky, you might get swapped over to the engine one day because the ambulance is busy. And if you need a rest or you're any chance of getting a rest, it's going to be on the fire truck, and they're busy too. But they don't transport to the hospital. So the good thing about getting an engine day is what we call it is hopefully you'll get a little rest that night. You're still going to run calls, And and sadly, people, our guys want to go on a fire, and that's kind of funny or strange to say because that means someone else is having a bad day. But the ideal structure fire is either an abandoned home or a home that everyone gets out of, and then we're able to save most of it. But anyway, back to my career. So I started in 2000, went to the fire academy in 99. I volunteered for about a year, and then I was hired on full time with my department in 2001, the summer of 2001. And like I said, I was a firefighter EMT, but my main job was an EMT on the ambulance for 6 years. And then um, at about that point, you kind of pick a direction, and I'll tell you about that in a sec. So you pick a direction, and you can either become a fire truck driver operator, or you can go to more advanced EMS training and become a paramedic. So there's EMT basics, EMT advanced, and then EMT paramedics. And so we have EMT advanced and EMT paramedics at my station. And depending on the severity of the call, will dictate which level of EMS you get. So, like, let's say a cardiac arrest, that's probably the most serious call we'll go on. Then you'll get EMT advances, you'll get paramedics, and you'll get a fire truck just because we need all the hands to do all the jobs there. Um, but if it's just, let's just say it's someone fell off their bike and scraped their knee, then you'll likely get an ambulance and the two EMT advanced. And so what we do is we arrive, we do an assessment, and then we give the patient some options. Whether we advise them to go to the hospital, we think it's okay for them to stay home, it's okay for the family member to take them, or or what have you, right? So that's kind of how an EMS call works. I got a little sidetracked. So I did 6 years on the ambulance, and then I decided to go the driver route instead of the paramedic route. So I really like the fire side of things, and so I went to school to be a driver engineer, is what they call it, a fire truck driver operator, and and I was trained in all different trucks, right? Just the typical fire truck with the hose on it, the ladder truck, the aerial um, truck, the brush truck, which goes on grass fires, all those. And ultimately, for my first year as a driver, I kind of bounced around to different stations and got practice on all of them. And then when an opening came available, I landed at a station that had the ladder truck. So that's the fire truck, has hose and a water tank and all that, but it also has the ladder on top. And so I was there for 10 years and I loved it. It was awesome. And because the ladder truck goes on mostly all cool calls, high rise incidents, any structure fire, um, water rescues, you name it, bad car wrecks, all those things. So the ladder truck is involved in pretty much everything in the city. And my station was right downtown in the middle of our city. And so we went to everyone else's district to help them. And for 10 years, that was my job. And, I got good at it. I loved it. I think I was very good at what I did, and I took it seriously, and I really embraced it. But nearing the end of year 8 and 9, I felt like I was stagnant, and I had done about all I can do in that position, and I was getting up there in seniority in the department, and you kind of just, you see the people you came up with, and everyone starts taking their own path and advancing and promoting, and I was right there too. I I felt like I had more to offer the department, and so I started testing for the position of captain. And I'll tell you about the fire captain position. So a fire captain is basically a manager. So a fire captain is in charge of one station on his shift, his or her shift. And so, for instance, I'm assigned to the hazardous materials station. So I'm a firefighter, I'm an EMT, and then my specialty is hazardous materials response. And my crew at that station, same thing. So I have a driver, I have a hazmat tech, I have two paramedics, and then two other EMT advanced at my station. So there's 7 of us, and we're all cross trained in every area. And all those people rotate onto the engine, except for me and the driver. We're constant on there. So everyone who gets on the engine has to have a little bit of knowledge about what we do and what our capabilities are, because you never know what's coming in each day. And so I manage 6 other people, soon to be 7. They're gonna add another person to our group, and um, it's a lot like being a manager at any other business in a lot of ways. Of course, with its own nuances, right? Being at the firehouse, and so I've been doing that for, let's see, 8 years. I'm trying to think back. Maybe it'll be coming up on 8 this summer when I retire. And it's been awesome. I've had some really, really great people who make my job easy. And it's so nice when you start meshing with your crew and everyone knows what they're supposed to do. I just had a talk with them the other day about how much I enjoy what we have. And so in our downtime, when we're at the station just chilling, we're sitting around telling stories, everyone's having a good time and laughing. But then when a call comes in, they know when to flip that switch and become serious, and it's time to go to work, and they all are dialed in on what they're supposed to do, and it's so nice. um, and I've been in this public sector for so long. I don't know uh, about the private sector, if that's how other people work in their management jobs, and managing their crews, if they feel the same. But um, I've been very fortunate with our people. Everyone who comes to work wants to be there, and they want to be good at what they do. And so they practice, they train, they hone their skills. And then when it's time to go to work, everyone's ready. And so I couldn't ask for more or better from our guys. So a little bit about our schedule. If you don't know, uh, there's a few different schedules out there across the country. The East Coast might do a little different than the West Coast, and I consider myself West Coast since we're in Utah here. But there's 3 shifts, or battalions is what they call them, at my department: A, B, and C. And I'm on I'm on C shift. And so we work 48 hours on and 96 hours off. So in a 7-day week, we will work 56 hours. Um, just, if you do the math, that's by the time we work our 2 days, go on 4 off, and come back, then the weekends, and that's how you get the, the 56 instead of 48. So we come on duty at 8 a.m. and we start our shift, and we're going to be there for 2 days. So we have our bedding there, we bring food, um, we live there for 2 days, and so yeah, we get there at 8 a.m. We do pass off information with the crew that's going off. They had just been there for 2 days, and they're going to start their 4 off, and we pick up where they left off, right? So if they're in the middle of a project, we'll take over for them. If there's something pending, we take over for them. And we check all our equipment and make sure we're response ready. We take care of any issues. And I like to get everyone together about 8:30 or 9 in the morning and tell them what we've got going for the set. That's what we call it. Our 2 days is called a set. We've got this training coming up. I need these things done around the station, and then we're going to have personal time to do what we want as individuals. And so my whole goal is to keep my crew as informed as possible, and then give them the tools they need to do their job on a daily basis, right? I'm kind of that middle manager. So I've got chiefs and bosses above me. They disseminate information down to me, and then I give that information to the crew, so everyone's in the loop and knows what's going on. And so again, we start our shift at 8 a.m. and I do the morning brief, and then I like to go right to PT. I like to go to the gym right after that and get that done because otherwise the day gets busy and it's hard to get it in later. So I try to get some physical fitness in, and then we usually have a training topic for the day. Now, mind you, this is all pending no calls. If a call comes in, everything stops. We go on the call, we come back, and we try to pick up where we left off. So yeah, I try to get PT in, a training topic in, and then any personal items, right? So life doesn't stop when we go to the firehouse for 2 days. So if somebody's kid has a soccer game in our area, by all means, take the truck over, keep your radio on, watch your kid, and then if a call comes in, everyone knows you got to take off. So we do that for the 48 hours. So we'll go, day one, we'll go through the whole day. I'll tell you about food in a minute. That's kind of another misconception. And then we'll go to bed there. We'll sleep all, as much as we can, pending any calls. We'll get up the second day and start it all over again. So again, I'll try to do PT and training and get any personal items done that second day again. And then at 8 a.m. the following morning, we'll go home for 4 days. And so let's talk about food. I think one misconception about food is that the department buys our food, and that's not the case. So each station is in charge of their own meals. And so we like to eat dinners together and sometimes that breakfast on that middle morning. So we come on one morning, we work all day and night. Then that next day, before we start our second shift or second day, we'd like to have a group breakfast. And if not, we always have dinner together. And so we just rotate who's going to cook, and we've got a system. I won't bore you with the details, but yeah, we'll take the fire truck out after someone's planned a meal. We'll go buy it, and then we split the cost amongst those 7 people, and we pay into a fund. And so we eat pretty well. And over 25 years, I've learned a lot of good recipes, and I've witnessed a lot of good cooks. And so it's funny when we get these new folks in who we typically hire young people, and some of them haven't done much cooking. And so our what we always tease them with is it doesn't have to be good. There just has to be a lot of it. You don't want anyone to go hungry. You don't want to run out of food. That's a cardinal sin. But in all honesty, we eat really well there, and it's evolved so much from when I started to now. We eat a lot more healthy, and we're conscious of what we make. And you know, this is a long career, and so you want to take care of yourself in every aspect so you can make it to the end. So yeah, we go shopping, we buy the food, and let's say it's my turn to cook. But at dinner time, when I'm making the food, we get busy and we start running calls. Then the other guys, I'll tell them when if it's taco night, they can take over and they'll finish it. And then when we get back, food's ready, and that's best case scenario. Now there's times when everyone has to run out and the meal just pauses until we can get back. I've eaten a lot of cold meals in 25 years, but that's just part of the business. So yeah, we buy our own food, we cook our own food, we rotate who's cooking. Um, what else? Vacation. So remember I told you we work for 2 days and then we're off for four. Well, we also accrue vacation leave. So if I were to take vacation, I would just like if I got off this morning and I started my 4 days, so I'd go on my 4 days off. I'd have vacation for the 2 that I should be there next week, and then I'd have the 4 days following that. So I can, with taking 2 vacation days, I could get a 10-day span of vacation, and so I do a lot of trips like that. I don't need to take a whole week off. I mean, it's a week to us, but not the regular 8 to 5er, and I can go all over in 10 days. I go a lot of places in just my 4 days off. So the schedule is pretty incredible, and it lends itself to a lot of freedom and side jobs. So I'll tell you about side jobs in a minute. So if you know a firefighter, there's a good chance they have a side job. We're all of a similar personality where we're goers, and it's hard for us to sit still. And so with the 4 days, most of us have a side job. I've had a second job pretty much my whole career. I've done construction, I've done bounce houses, I've done uh, landscaping. I've worked for the fire college, training and testing. I'm currently a realtor, and so I've been a realtor for a little over 10 years. And so I did construction when I was a younger man, and that was, I was fine with it. But as I started getting older, um, I got out of that, and I knew another guy who was a realtor, and it just worked out. And so it's pretty good money when I close a deal, and it's not so hard on my body. But we've got the whole gambit of people with side jobs. A lot of construction trade. We've got horse trainers. We've got hunting guides. We've got photographers. Um, it's funny. I know someone in pretty much every industry just because of my network of people at the firehouse. And so yeah, most of us have a second job. Um, let's talk about retirement. So firefighters, because of the amount of hours we work, I did the math. And so we have a 20-year retirement. If you do 20 years, you're eligible to retire and get a pension. And that pension is in Utah, it's 50% of what you're making at the time of retirement. But if you stay past 20 years, each year that percentage goes up. So at 25 years, I'm getting a little bit more. And so I did the math on we do 56-hour work weeks. And in 20 years, I will have worked as many hours as an 8 to 5 office job person in 30 years. And so that's why, maybe some people don't understand why cops and firefighters can retire at 20 years. Well, it's because we put in so many hours at a time that their accrual is equivalent to 30 years in another line of work. Um, and so I talked about eating healthy and taking care of your body, and that really is key to making it to retirement and enjoying your retirement years. And so I took that mindset early on that if I'm going to work this job, and it can be dangerous at times, I'm going to take care of myself in the physical capacity, the mental capacity, and the financial capacity, so that when I leave after 25 years, I can enjoy some life after. Right? I worked hard for this, and I want to go out and enjoy it. And so I try to do something active every day. I eat pretty healthy, I think. I try to take care of myself in that regard. And then me and my wife have set ourselves up financially in a position that we can both retire in our 50s. And now I'm not so naive as to think I'm not ever going to work again. And part of that is because I don't sit still long. But but we're going to go and travel and see where our travels take us, and wherever we end up, I'll find a job there. Um, but yeah, so if you're in the public safety realm, just I encourage you to take it seriously and take care of yourself in every way, so that you can enjoy those later years in retirement. Um, I still have a lot of things I want to do and see and explore, and I hope my body will allow me. I'm confident that I am ready. Let's see. What else? What other misconceptions? If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them. Um, oh, as far as I told you, I was a structural firefighter, but we also have a brush truck, right? So where I live, we're really close to the mountains and some rural area, and so we are also cross trained in wildfires. And so there's a little bit of space that we're in charge of, right, to maintain and protect. And then if it gets too far out of that area, then we call in the Forest Service and they come help us. And we work closely with those guys. But yeah, it's getting to be summer here. It's been a rough spring as far as water, And so I suspect the wildfire season is going to be um, a little bit tougher this year. And so I have no doubt we'll be fighting wildfires and things like that early in the season. And so we train on that. We're ready for that as well as everything else. Um, some of the other specialties at my department is we have a heavy rescue team. And so if you get trapped on a mountain or in the river, right, you're kayaking down the river and your boat flips and you get stuck, we've got people for that. High angle rescue, um, confined space. They cover all the types of rescue, extrication, things like that. Again, I'm part of the hazmat team, so if a rail car flips over or a truck, a tanker truck flips over, um, or an unknown substance, someone finds something they don't know what it is. That's my group. We have an airport station, so they focus on airport response and rescue. Um, and so we really try to cover all areas. We've we go on some funny calls too, right? I've been on ducks stuck in a drain, and so we go down there and get the little ducklings out. Um, all kinds of stuff. I can't even remember them all right now. But when people don't know what else to do or who else to call, they typically call the fire department, and so we go and see what we can do to help them. Um, let's see. That might be about it for everything I can think of right now. So we work 48 hours shifts. We can retire at 20 years. Most of us have a second job. We cook our own food. We clean our own station. We take care of our own trucks. Um, and we're multifaceted in our training. So if you know a firefighter, thank them. And maybe that helps you have a little insight as to what we do on a daily basis. Now, the volunteer departments, there's some of those around here, but they're really popular back east, and those guys are dialed in too. I don't want to discredit those guys. There's some really good volunteer departments out there who take their job seriously and are ready at a moment's notice, just like I think we are. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Again, leave me any comments if you have any questions, or if your department does it differently, or you've heard something else that I didn't cover. So again, this is the Atabey, and it's burning really nicely. And again, I know I say creamy and smooth a lot, but this one really is. It's excellent. So if you want to do yourself a favor, search this one out. They have their Churchills. They have obviously the Robusto, the Toros. I think they even might have the smaller ones, but give it a try. Let me know what you think. I think it's incredible if you like the smooth, lighter ones. Um, so yeah, we'll wrap it up here. You guys, thanks for watching Cigar Talk, First Draw, and leave me any comment you want to know about, and we'll do it again someday, and I'll have another discussion for you. So thanks for coming along.